Good afternoon and welcome to the Media News on Voice of the People TV. I am Fina Okechukwu. The headlines. President Tinubu swears in Kudirat Kekere-Ekun as new CJN. Tinubu's family have no interest in overhead acquisition and NPCL. 6 detainees freed after 4 years in custody. And in business, cost of living eases as price of dairy others drop. And now to the news in details. President Tinubu, who returned from France Thursday evening, had shortened his private visa to the European country to swear in Nigeria's new Chief Justice, Kudirat Kekere-Ekun, as the new Chief Justice of Nigeria today, following the retirement of Justice Olukayode Ariwola, who reached the mandatory retirement age of 70 yesterday. Tinubu had departed Abuja for France on Monday for what the presidency describes as a brief work stay. According to a jury in Gelale, the president's special advisor on media and publicity, the swearing-in ceremony will take place at the State House Council chambers. On Thursday, President Bola Tinubu congratulated the outgoing Justice Ariwola on a successful public service career, praising his leadership of the judiciary and his contribution to Nigerian jurisprudence. A valedictory court session was held in honor of Ariwola at the Supreme Court on Thursday during the season. Ariwola, Nigeria's 22nd CJN, announced the signing of the new Supreme Court Rules 2024, aimed at addressing challenges faced by the nation's apex court. He emphasized that the right to a fair hearing requires timely adjudication and highlighted the need for more judicial officers to handle cases promptly. Emeritus Catholic Archbishop of Abuja, Cardinal John Onayekon, along with the civil society organizations, CSOs, and Ariwa Youth, has called for the immediate release of protesters detained during the nationwide #EndBadGovernance protest held from August 1st to 10th, 2024. Meanwhile, Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, a prominent rights lawyer and chairman of the Alliance on Surviving COVID-19 and Beyond, ASCAB, has warned that his group will take legal action against the federal government if it does not either arraign or release the arrested protesters by August 25. According to Falana, on the 2,111 suspected arrested, 1,403 have been remanded in prisons across the country. Today, 27 protesters are said to be arraigned at the Federal High Court in Abuja following 2 previously failed attempts by the police, as confirmed by one of their lawyers, Deji Adeyanju. Cardinal Onayekon has urged the government to release the unarmed protesters, stating that they are not responsible for Nigeria's problem. He emphasized the need for the government to take the initiative to engage in dialogue and address the grievances of the youth, who are predominantly young people under 35 with skills and education. Meanwhile, the Lagos State Magistrate Court in Oba has discharged 6 men who were arrested during the 2020 #EndSARS protest and have been in prison for nearly 4 years. The defendants Daniel Joyimbo, Adigun Sodiq, Kehinde Shola, Salaluddin Kamilu, Sodiq Useni, and Aziz Ishaka were released after pleading guilty to a single amended charge of conduct likely to cause a breach of peace, a violation under Section 168 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State 2015. Magistrate Bolanle Osun Sami ordered their release on Thursday after issuing a caution. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has refuted allegations made by former Vice President and 2023 presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who accused President Bola Tinubu of using his position to benefit family members and close associates through the acquisition of NNPC Retail Limited by OVH. Atiku claimed that Wale Tinubu, a relative of the president, held a 49% stake in OVH and suggested that the deal was part of the broader scheme to integrate personal business interests into public enterprises. In response, NNPCL, through its Chief Corporate Communication Officer Olufemi Sonoye, clarified that the company operates on a commercially focused and profit-driven basis with decisions made solely on commercial viability and national interest. Sonoye explained that while Tinubu had fully divested his equity interest in OVH before NNPCL acquisition in 2022, and stressed that neither Wale Tinubu nor President Tinubu has any involvement in the OVH acquisition. NNPCL also emphasized its commitment to remaining non-partisan and focus on creating value for all stakeholders. The president of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Association of Nigeria, PENGASSAN, Festus Osifo, has outlined reasons for the persistent fuel queues at filling stations across the country. Speaking at the 2024 PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Summit in Abuja on Thursday, Osifo attributed the ongoing issues to weak and outdated distribution chains in the downstream sector of the oil and gas industry. He noted that Nigeria's current distribution system is insufficient to meet the demands of its large population, relying heavily on a single point of product importation and truck distribution. Osifo further explained that bad roads and flooding have contributed to the insufficient supply of fuel, leading to scarcity at filling stations. He called for urgent reforms to strengthen the country's value chain and improve the efficiency and reliability of fuel distribution. The PENGASSAN president then urged the government to take over security responsibilities for investors to reduce production costs. He also called for stronger laws and harsher penalties against those involved in oil theft to deter misconduct and promote integrity within the industry. The federal government has affirmed its commitment to continue the construction of the 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway despite ongoing court cases filed by landowners affected by the project. Minister of Works Dave Umahi made this announcement during a press briefing on Thursday in Abuja, addressing concerns over the project's procurement process, which has led to legal challenges. Umahi stated that the 15.36 trillion naira highway designed to build on a concrete pavement has met all necessary legal and procedural requirements before construction began. The project, which started in March 2024, has faced public scrutiny and controversy, particularly over the compensation offered to property owners whose homes are set for demolition. In May, it was revealed that 750 houses along the highway's path would be demolished. However, landowners have criticized the government's compensation as inadequate, arguing that it does not reflect their investment value. For instance, Olariwaju Ojo, a property owner, expressed dissatisfaction, stating that the compensation he received was far below his expectations. Despite criticism from stakeholders and experts about the road's procurement process, Umahi defended the project's integrity, stating that the Federal Executive Council had approved it under the Restrictive Procurement Act. He also reiterated that government's commitment to pay compensation and adhering to the legal right of way for the project. Joining us to help analyze these stories is Mr. Peter Anosike. Mr. Peter Anosike is a philosopher, development economist, and a best-selling author. He's also an erudite commentator on economy, finance, politics, and power. Good day, Mr. Peter.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Good to have you in today's news. All right, now the stories that I would like us to start with is that of the judicial reform, where Nigeria is ready to have a new Chief Justice of the Federation in the person of Justice Kudirat, Kekere-Ekun. Now, before now, Nigerians were having a different opinion as regards this appointment by Ariwura. But the judicial sector were of the opinion that what they do happen to be, it boils back to hierarchy, the next in line, which they've not really altered up until now. My question to you now, Mr. Peter, is this. Are we as a country going to base our judicial sector, which happens to be the hope of a common man, on hierarchy or on competence?
Well, ordinarily it's supposed to be on competence. Everything is supposed to be on merit and competence. But if you should shake the hierarchy, there will be complaints. I know in the appointment of the service chiefs, it's usually based on competence, unquote. That's why we've never had a DIG as an IG of police. And for an IG to be appointed, more than 16 DIGs will be retired. So that's why they always want it to be on hierarchy. But ordinarily, it's supposed to be on competence. But our judiciary is in their need of a vote phase. I can tag Ariwanda's days at the dark days of Nigerian judiciary because of how the 2023 presidential election was conducted. It was a shame. And I know that posterity is not going to be fair to Ariwanda. History would not be kind to him because of the conduct of the 2023 presidential election, going by the judicial decisions, which were basically unpopular judgments. So, and it's my prayer that the new CGN, being a woman, will bring a modernist spirit.
Okay, talking about the new CGN being a woman, we also know that you made mention of election now. During the general election in Imo State that have Hope Uzodinma become the governor of Imo State, we're talking about that election that also saw of the likes of Ihedioha and Co. Now, we know that the new Chief Justice of Nigeria, I'm talking about Kudirat, Kekere-Ekun, was the one who read out that judgment that made Hope Uzodinma to be the governor of Imo State. But we also saw that the number of voters, the number of people that were accredited to vote on the same date were below the number of the voters she allocated to that judgment that bring Hope Uzodinma into power.
Which ordinarily under INEC rules is cancellation.
So are we now seeing a more delicate case coming up when we have Kekere now?
Then she was an employee acting for somebody. Now the buck is now at his table.
Acting for somebody, you mean acting for the Imo State or acting
for the CGN?
Okay, acting
somebody
for the CGN.
Delegated her to go and do that. There's a difference when you are an employee and when you are the CEO. Now, what we have been mentioning before is Ariwanda as the CGN. Now we are going to be mentioning Kekere-Ekun. So these are two different situations.
But these lawyers who sat for that particular judge, the panel that was set, were all they are all Supreme Court judges, if one to bring it that way to the table. Is it not right for them to have, dot the I's and cross the T's and do proper scrutiny and investigation before coming out with a result that also happens to be different from what INEC originally set in Imo State?
No, I said they had a mandate. They were given a job to do. They have to do the job. It's different from when you were sent and when you are now in charge and sending people.
Are you of the opinion that it was more like a presumption act for them to rule in favor of APC in Imo State against the sole owner or the person who really won that election?
Good conscience knows that Uzodinma never won the election.
Okay, bring it back to Nigeria now. This particular appointment of Kudirat Kekere-Ekun, what do you think this picture paints for the international world, given the fact that she was denied visa by the U.S. Embassy on the notion that the son once committed murder and ran back to Nigeria, but later, he went back to go and face the courts of the law over that. And also, the visa ban or the denial aids that's supposed to go with the justice or the judges. They were granted visa, but U.S. denied her visa on the issue of corruption and other related activities. What picture does this appointment make for a Nigerian international body?
The internet never forgives and it never forgets. Once an appointment is made, what people will do is to Google the CV of the person. And what is going to pump out is that she was denied visa based on the quantity of judgments that she gave, which is not good for him, for her, and good for our image. Going by what our judiciary has been doing in the last since 2015, from when Tanko was made a CGN up to today. So we've never recovered from that. So we need somebody who would just go 36, who also face what Rwanda faces, because it is the question, what will posterity remember you after your service? And that should be everybody's watchword.
All right. Now, with this new appointment, do you really think the judicial system in Nigeria will be the fate of a common man?
No, knowing who is in charge, that's at the helm of affairs, or the president, knowing his antecedents, Kekere-Ekun must, therefore, she must confirm. She must confirm.
What antecedents are you talking about now regarding to the president, the antecedents you're mentioning?
It's not hidden who the perception of our president is.
Perception of the president.
When somebody tells you that election is not won by votes, that you have to grab it, take it and run.
All right, now we have another interesting one I would like us also to look at now. We have the issue of the NSAS that happened in 2020, October to be precise, October 20th, 2020. You know, Nigeria was kind of hot during that period. A lot of people come up with so many information. Nigerian government, especially in Lagos State here, the government in Lagos State says, first, nobody was arrested. And second one, nobody was killed, even when there were pictures of live ammunition. And so many other stories also back that, to the point that we have a memo that surfaced where it was signed by the governor of Lagos State about the mass burial that just happened. Yeah. And also, we have the Lagos State government saying that nobody, no one again, in line with the hashtag #EndSARS, still in police detention, let alone in the prison. But just yesterday, we learned that a court in Oba freed 6 people who were part of the protesters that talked about the police brutality in 2020. Mr. Peter Anosike, what do you really make of this?
Well, if you read it, there's a lot of confusion, not just in the court, in the country, because the answers started on 8th of October. But if you read that judgment, well, they said they committed the offense on November 23 by 12 noon. So is this 2 different answers? It didn't get to November 23. Understand me? So I wonder whether they are answers protesters. Because I read the judgment. Because they said that they committed the offense on 23rd of November by 12 noon. Understand? And that is number 1. So number 2, according to the Lagos criminal law of 2015, they say that the punishment for such offense, that's 168D, is 3 months imprisonment or 15,000 naira. Understand me? And these people stayed for 4 years in detention.
Since 2020, now it's 2020.
So what did it tell you of our judiciary?
That was why I asked you that question of, are we still having hope as a nation that judicially in Nigeria is still the faith of a common man?
So for me, it is not. It is not. So I was even surprised why those people should plead guilty in the court. They should be asking for compensation. Assuming they were guilty, they should have been in prison for 3 months. And they stayed there 4 years in detention. Understand me? So they should be asking government for for compensation.
So are you of the opinion that this speaks more about the anomaly happening in the judicial system?
That things are not running well in the country. That things are not working well in the country.
Now we have another group of people, over 2,000 of them arrested for the hashtag End Bad Governance that just happened from August 1st to August 10th. Yeah. And according to Femi Falana, he actually talked about how over 1,000 are already in prison without fair hearing.
That's in detention, awaiting trial.
Without people knowing about the whereabouts and up until now. What does this really portend for Nigeria as a nation, as a democratic nation, given the fact that Nigerians have the right for peaceful protest? And also, Nigerians also push out a notice well enough to the government to tell them that from so time to so time, there will be a protest to talk about how Nigerians have been suffering and how we've actually moved straight down to multidimensional poverty in Nigeria. And yet, we're having some profligacy happening with the political elites. Now, is it that the Nigerians don't have the right, again, to a peaceful protest? Or what is really happening?
Protest is one of our fundamental human rights. It is one of the essences of our human being, that it's a way of saying no. When things are not going the way you want it, you should come out and say, no, this should stop. It's a way of putting government on their toes. And what government should know that protesters are good citizens. They are not criminals. Understand me? They are not criminals. It is the responsibility of the police to protect and guide protesters. It happens in every part of the world. Between May and March and April, there were protests in most of the universities in the United States. They were protesting against what Israel was doing in
Hamas in Palestine.
In Palestine. No single person was killed. Nobody was arrested. Understand me? But here, I used to say that democracy does not mean just wearing suit and abada. The democracy is giving other people their fundamental human rights, taking care of their well-being and understanding, protecting their lives and properties. But here, sincerely, what we are practicing here is not democracy.
Given the fact that the present administration also once had a protest, in 2012 there was a protest against the fuel subsidy removal. People blocked road, the elites also occupied
Nigeria.
Yes. Then also we have one wonderful rally that also called for the removal of the sitting president or the sitting president as of when the APC was doing their rally. It happened in the northern part of the country.
Sure.
Now, why are we having a kind of restriction or a gagging of the people when they want to talk about protests? Even when this present administration, the president of Nigeria also come in or has once been a champion of protesters.
No, he has been sponsoring protests from 1999 till 2014. I'm a member of the Labour movement. I was formerly Labour correspondent for the Sun newspaper. So I know how all these things are being organized. He has been a chief financier of protests when he was in the opposition. So
why do we now have people's accounts being frozen? And not just that also, we have protesters being restricted to a particular place, getting court order for protesters to be in a confined space for them to do the protesting.
You know, what some people do is to use populism to get into power. They will now turn against the masses that they ride on. Understand me? And that's what this present administration is doing. That's what the president is doing, because everybody knew how protest was being organized between 1999, when the PDP were in power, until 2014. He was behind it. So then we are seeing him then as a champion of democracy. But now he is showing the opposite, which means he used the people to get into power and now turned against the people.
Mr. Peter, looking at the things happening in Nigeria, first we have the $13 billion coastal highway, Lagos-Calabar coastal highway, being linked to a son of the president to be part of the people that own the Shagori
board
brothers.
member of High Tech.
Yes. And also, we have the issue of the $150 million purchase of the new presidential jet aircraft. And now we'll come back again to having another member or another relative of the sitting president now being...
Other countries of the world come out of office for that because, one, as a president, you must not do anything to benefit yourself or your business interest. But here, our own president use their position to acquire the common wealth, to enrich themselves. I read the statement which Atiku issued, and I also read a counter statement by NNPC. They never counted what Atiku said. Now, they said that Oando, which is owned by Adewale Tinubu, a nephew of the president, divested into OHL. Oh, understand me?
Yeah, OVH.
Yes. And then before they now acquired it, before NNPCL now acquired it, but now it is now, it's now the acquired company that is now running NNPCL. How is it? And their first step was to relocate their Abuja office to Lagos. That is suspicion itself. Understand me? So there needs to be investigation because what I'm seeing happening now is what is happening in Saudi Arabia, where a single family is controlling all the oil well in Saudi Arabia. That is the Sauds, which is the richest family in the world, because the entire resources of a country is in one man's hand. And what made us why Nigeria is still one is because of oil. Because that's our commonwealth. That's our largest source of revenue. It shouldn't go into somebody's hand. So for me, this is enough for Nigerians to troop out to the street and protest.
So you think that the proposed October 1st protest will hold, or do you think it is going to yield anything positive results now, with the recent situation or recent happening?
With what is happening now, government is directly and indirectly aiding that protest.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Peter. I really appreciate. You've heard from Mr. Peter Anosike, who is a philosopher, a development economist, and a best-selling author. He's also an erudite commentator on economy, finance, politics, and power. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. You are still watching the Media News on Voice of the People TV. More stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Media News on Voice of the People TV. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu has emphasized the need for bulk electricity consumers to reconnect to the national grid, arguing that grid connection is a more reliable and cost-effective power source compared to the expensive captive power plants many industries currently use. Speaking at the Nigeria Electricity Liability Management Company NELMCO board retreat in Lagos, Adelabu highlighted that while the country recently generated a record 5,155 megawatts of electricity, it is not being fully utilized because industries have shifted to captive power due to past mistrust in grid reliability. He stressed that the cost of producing power through captive sources is significantly higher, with gas-connected plants costing about 350 naira to 400 naira per unit, a diesel-powered plant costing around 950 naira per unit. Adelabu outlined that the federal government's commitment to improving grid stability and encouraging industries to return to grid power by demonstrating trust and reliability. He revealed that the government's goal to achieve 6 gigawatts of power delivery by December 2020, gigawatts by 2030, with 30% of this coming from renewable energy. The minister also suggested the introduction of different tariffs during off-peak periods to stimulate demand and discuss the importance of adhering to environmental, social, and governance standards in the power sector. He called on NAMCOs, the board, to uphold corporate governance, transparency and accountability while addressing tariff shortfalls and ensuring the long-term financial stability of the Nigerian electricity supply industry. The government has pledged to allocate sufficient resources to strengthen Nigeria's education sector with a focus on addressing the urgent issue of out-of-school children. During a meeting with the House of Representatives Committee on Alternative Education, Finance Minister Wale Edun emphasized the government's commitment to ensuring that every child has access to quality education. He outlined several new initiatives, including the relaunch of a program which aims to improve school attendance by providing meals to students. Edun highlighted that these programs are designed not only to enhance the health and well-being of children, but also to incentivize them to remain in school, thus reducing the out-of-school population. In a concerted effort to tackle food insecurity in Lagos, the Inspired Lagos Food Market has been introduced to help alleviate the economic hardship experienced by many residents. The initiative, led by convener Abiola Adebajo, aimed to offer 50% food subsidy to Lagos residents across all 20 local government areas, with the goal of ensuring that no one in Lagos goes to bed empty or hungry. VOP TV Matthew Ogunsuada provides further details in this report.
Times, the prices of food commodities have skyrocketed in the market, reflecting the economic hardship faced by Nigerians. However, in response to these challenges in tackling food insecurity, the Inspire Lagos Food Market has been launched in Agidingbi to support economic growth, assist the government, and enhance community well-being by providing affordable and accessible food while connecting local producers with consumers.
Inspire Lagos Food Market collaborate with the government to address the pressing issue of food insecurity. Food security is a fundamental human right and is our collective responsibility to ensure that everyone has access to nutritious and affordable food.
People are hungry. My people are hungry. And instead of joining people to complain, about the government, about the economy, let's come together and do something. And that is basically the idea behind this whole that you see.
In the harsh realities that we are, the economic realities that we are in right now in Lagos State, everything is expensive. Food is expensive and food is very important. So people getting food at half the price in this economy is an amazing thing.
The initiative also aims to provide essential food items at significantly subsidized prices of 50%, making them accessible to residents across the 20 local government areas in Lagos during weekends, with the initial kickoff in Koshofe local government area in September.
The essence is just to make this more affordable for people to purchase the staple that they eat at home. So right now, people are purchasing yam, gari, rice, beans, pepper, chicken, and the likes.
This is a small amount that people can manage for the month. So it's supposed to carry people over for the month because we're moving local government by local government. I was supposed to go to each local government at least once a month. So when you buy, at least you're able to have food at half price that will carry you for the month. So the next month when we're back in your local government, you can also buy more.
While validating the concept of social impact, stakeholders further emphasize the essential need to support initiatives aimed at combating food insecurity and alleviating financial burdens on families and businesses.
One of the ways you can appreciate the place that you stand and also be grateful to God for your privileges is to ensure that you do all that you can to support other people who might be having it tougher.
Job placements program that match skill community members with small business and large communities that might be in need of their service by increasing their household income and financial autonomy. The program, after sustained, will be help people get out of poverty.
Additionally, traders and buyers expressed satisfaction with the retail market prices, noting that the significant reductions have made essential food items more affordable and accessible.
Buying the tuber of yam for 2,000, you can't get that anywhere outside. And the oil, a bottle of oil outside is 1.7, and I can even buy 2 without 1.7 here. It speaks a lot, and I must commend this initiative.
I'm actually very happy that I was able to get yam because I have been craving yam for the longest, but the price have been telling me to just go back to my house. But coming here and I found yam for 2,000 naira. See now, I had to secure one for myself.
I came with rice. I'm selling rice. A pint of rice actually outside is 7,000, but Inspire Lagos Market is discounting it at 50%. So we are selling a pint here at 3,500.
I bought 3 items, and at the discount of 50% discount rates, which is a welcome development, and I hope it will continue. To get this tuber of yam for as low as 2,000 naira is quite commendable.
The transformative flagship of the Inspire Lagos Food Market is to combat economic challenges by addressing issues of food insecurity and making sure that no one goes to bed empty hungry in Lagos. Matthew Ogunswada, reporting for Voice of the People TV.
Thank you so much, Matthew Ogunswada, for that wonderful report. And moving away from Lagos State, Cross River State government has signed a matching fund collaboration of 1 billion naira with Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, for the development of MSMEs in the state. The state governor, Senator Basi Otu, made the commitment in Abuja when he hosted a delegation of SMEDAN led by Director General, Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Charles Odi. The governor maintained that the administration was committed to providing support for the growth and development of new and existing MSMEs in the state through providing enterprises training, capacity building, business development support, and at the Cross River State Entrepreneurship Development Center, and access to affordable finance, monitoring, and evaluation. The Katsina House of Assembly says it is committed to improving the state's budget related to social protection program to address poverty. This is part of the communique issued at the end of a 2-day capacity building workshop for the legislators on right result-based management held in Kanu on Thursday. The speaker, Nasru Yahaya Daura, signed the communique, and the Katsina Budget Ministry organized a workshop in collaboration with United Nations Children Funds, UNICEF. But according to the communique, the stakeholders also resolved to increase investment in the lives of the masses by appropriating more funds for SP services. The Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawale, has condemned the brutal murder of Alhaji Isa Bawa, the head of Gatawa district in Sabon local government area of Sokoto State, calling it a heinous and senseless act that is unacceptable. Bawa, who was kidnapped in July, along with his son and 6 others, was found dead after a ransom delivery team discovered his body. Matawale had ordered the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, to conduct a thorough investigation and ensure the perpetrators are brought to justice. You're still watching the Media News on Voice of the People TV. Business, sports, and entertainment stories coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back. Moving on to business, Nigeria's cost of living crisis has shown signs of easing for the first time since late 2022, providing a much-needed respite for households and potentially paving the way for a Central Bank of Nigeria's interest rate cut in September. In July 2024, the country's monthly food inflation rate slowed to 39.53%, marking the first decline in 18 months. This drop in inflation was driven by significant price reduction in staple foods such as garri, tomatoes, pepper, yam, and potatoes, thanks to a bountiful harvest and improved supply. A survey across major Nigerian cities revealed that average prices of these key staples have dropped, easing the burden on cash-strapped Nigerians who have been struggling with rising inflation. For example, the average price of a basket of tomatoes in Lagos has plummeted by 58% from 120,000 naira to 50,000 naira. Similarly, the price of a 50 kg bag of white gari has decreased by 10,000, now selling for an average of 65,000 naira. For many Nigerians, these price drops represent a significant relief. Moji Odu Mosu, a mother of 4, expressed her relief as she now can afford to eat rice with tomato sauce again, something that had become a luxury due to previous price surges. However, experts warn that while the decline is a positive development, it must be sustained to have a lasting impact on household food security. They urge the government to address the underlying issues such as insecurity and low agricultural productivity to ensure that this trend continues. And moving on to sports. The Delta Ethnic Peace and Youth Cup football tournament, set to promote unity among the Ijo, Ishekiri, Isoko, and the Urobo ethnic groups in Delta State, will be launched by His Majesty Oriame Atuwase III, the Olu of Warri. The tournament's opening ceremony is scheduled for November 6, 2024 at Ode Ishekiri, aligning with the International Day of Tolerance. Announced by Delta Football Association Chairman Kenneth Nwa Omocha, the competition aims to foster peaceful coexistence following past conflicts in the region. The event is organized by the Center for Peace and Environmental Justice, CEPEJ, and sponsored by Chief Sheriff Mulade, reflecting a commitment to sustainable peace and community development in Delta State. Moving on to entertainment. Afrobeats artist Omar Lay has accused a fellow musician of stealing his album idea. The so-so hitmaker shared this startling news during an interview where he detailed how a trusted colleague allegedly took his concept and released an album based on it. Omar Lay, known for his unique sound and innovative approach to music, explained that he had initially planned to create an entire album around a new sound he developed, which he showcased in his song, Holy Ghost. He shared that this groundbreaking idea was what he unnamed artist, hoping to collaborate and create something extraordinary together. However, things took an unexpected turn. But despite the setback, Omar Lay remains optimistic about his upcoming album, which he believes will be a monumental success in the Afrobeat genre. And that is it on the midday news on VOP TV. But before we go, a quick look at the headlines. President Tinubu swears in Kudirat Kekere-Ekun as new CJN. Tinubu's family have no interest in OVH acquisition and NPCL. 6 detainees freed after 4 years in custody. And in business, we told you that cost of living have already eased as price of gari and others drops in Nigeria. And that is it on the Media News on Voice of the People TV. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are at Voice of the People TV, and on all the social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Coming up next is the Spotlight with Masinachi Okafor.